Alright, friends, share out of the view. Alright, friends, Brother Rob with you again. Good day to you, wherever in this wonderful world that the Lord has created and given us to enjoy. Would be. This is my ninth self-defense video, rather. And I've been enjoying making them and putting them up on YouTube here, and however many you've watched, or maybe perhaps if this is the first one you've watched, I hope you have found them educational, informative, and practical. And if not, I don't know why you wouldn't, because I know they are. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. But anyways, what I want to demonstrate in this video is some things that I have not covered in previous videos that I want to incorporate in this one, and that is some Muay Thai and some karate. So I'm going to start off with some karate blocks. Okay, so in karate, our stance is certainly different because, for one, we're not to the side like this. I'm standing forward facing my opponent like so. Okay, and secondly, my feet are shoulder width apart, and my hands are kind of, they call this the in chamber meaning my hands, I'll put it to the side so you can see it perhaps a little more clearly. My hands, maybe I should be wearing a black shirt for this video because it limits my ability, or your ability rather, to see. So I'm just going to change my t-shirt for a minute. Alright, that's better. Okay, now you can see them. So again, the stance is like this, and they call it when you're in chamber. So basically, if you could, I guess, it's came to mind now. If you could picture a bullet, which would be before it's fired, would obviously be in the chamber of the gun the gun that it would be in before it takes off in the air, as whoever is holding the gun would fire it. So in like manner, imagine your arms and your fists, your closed fists, would be like this, and as they're in chamber, you would have your arms to your side with your fists slightly in front of your body, like so. Okay, so, and again, your legs would be shoulder width apart, so arms and fists in chamber like so. And if someone is going to punch you from somewhere between your waist and the middle of your stomach, the block would be a downward motion like that. Okay, so either arm, whichever arm you feel more comfortable with using for the block. If it's between your waist and your in the middle of your stomach, it would be out and then up and then down. But of course, you want to do it quickly, because if your opponent obviously is going to try to strike your arm fast, and you want to use that block, you want to do it quickly, right? So up, so out, up, down. Okay. And if your opponent would be trying to hit you between the middle of your stomach and say your neckline, you would want to, it would be out, turn, so your wrist is, I guess your palm, even though it's clenched to the inside of your hand, would be facing down. Okay, and then you would simply swipe up like so. So motion up, turned with your palm facing to the ground, and kind of over here, so you're blocking the entirety of your body, or this part of your body that your opponent is trying to strike, and just up and across. Okay, so those would be two ways to block in two karate blocks. Now, in karate too, if you're just going to go to strike someone, either way, if you don't want to use your left or your right hand to punch, so the first thing you would do is step forward and then turn whichever hand you want to use, or you could actually use both. So you could use 1, 2. So it's always step forward and then strike. Okay? Step forward, strike. Step forward, strike. So that would be how you would strike. And the reason that the thing is, it's always important. It's very important to step forward and then strike for two reasons. One is you'll have way more power because the power is coming from your core, even though you're hitting with your arm and you're moving forward with your the strike is the punch is coming from your arm, and then the power is being applied with your fist. The power itself is coming from your core. Now the second reason that it's stepping forward is more advantageous for you is, of course, you're closing the distance between you and your opponent. So there's going to be more, first of all, there's going to be more power than if you just stayed here and then jabbed. But if you step forward and then jab, you're going to, first of all, it's going to be more painful for your opponent because there's more of you, so to speak, that's being centralized wherever it is that you're hitting them on their body. And then secondly, there's less of a distance between you and them when you do go to strike them. Okay? So these are important things to remember. But if you're going to strike them, I would suggest to. Another way you could strike them too, you could keep your arms with your forearm, I guess, facing, for lack of a better word, towards upwards. Now, if you want to punch like this or like this, obviously it's totally up to you, but I think it's more natural to punch with your forearms, for lack of better terminology, facing the ground. So, but anyways, I think it's easier just to remember, even with a closed fist, that your palms, or it's just say, imagine if your palms were open and you just jab them instead of punch them, that your palms would be facing the ground rather than facing upwards. For me, anyways, it feels much more natural to go for a punch with your, say if you were to open your hand from a clenched fist to an open palm, that your palm would be facing the ground as opposed to upwards. But of course, it's up to you. So that covers how I've learned basic self-defense techniques in terms of blocking and striking, and just rudimentary karate. But anyways, moving on. What am I at here? Almost 10 minutes. Well, okay. Moving on. Another important thing to do, and well, pretty much not just karate, but any martial art for that matter, is learning how to roll. Now, it's important how to roll in self-defense because first of all, when you do a roll, you want to do it in a way that obviously you're not going to inflict injury to yourself, but also it's kind of a way to momentarily get out of your opponent's, reach, for lack of a better word. So because when you roll, you're going to roll towards your opponent, but possibly also behind them. But when you go to stand up after the roll that you've just done, you want to stand up. You always want to be facing your opponent. That's one of the. If there's one basic principle I couldn't stress enough rather, in self-defense is you always want to be facing your opponent, because if your back is to your opponent, remember I've asked this rhetorically in previous videos, what can your opponent do to you? Anything, right? I mean, they could put you in a hold, either from wrap their arms around your waist or and stomach, or put you in a chokehold with their arm around your neck, or they could kick you from behind, punch you from behind, come behind you, and just they could even there's so many things a person could do when they're behind you. I mean, they could even step up beside you and just clothesline you. Thing is, when someone's behind you, you have no idea what they're going to do because your eyes aren't on them. Right? And, even as the old expression goes that, moms have eyes in the back of the head, the truth of the matter is, nobody does. They might sense you, but they can't see you. I see an analogy. It's a hyperbolic expression. But anyways, moving on. So a roll, one of the rules that we'll learn in karate is say you're gonna put one knee down. So you're gonna tilt the camera so you can see what I'm doing here. What you're gonna do is you're gonna put one knee down like this. You're gonna put one arm, one arm is gonna go across like this, and you're simply gonna do a somersault with your head tucked towards the ground, and you want to do this. So your arm, whichever one you're using. Let's see if I can tilt the camera a little more so you can see what it is I'm doing. So again, one knee is going to be on the ground, and your back foot is going to be facing roughly a 45-degree angle forward. Of course, not backwards. Forward. Yeah, obviously explanatory, but I don't know. I'm just kind of that kind of person that likes to explain things even if they may seem obvious. And then one arm like this in front of you, and then kind of tuck your head in, but make sure it's still facing forward, and just kind of roll. And then as soon as the roll is finished, quickly stand up, pivot, and face your opponent, right? So it's something you want to do quickly. Now, I've even seen one of my karate instructors actually, instead of going on one knee, what he actually did, because we were using mats, because obviously if you're going to put your knee, like my apartment, it's hardwood floor, so I'm going down on one knee, even for a short amount of time, knee gets kind of sore. Okay, so you obviously want to train with mats, but obviously I wouldn't recommend doing a roll on pavement should you be in a self-defense position. I'd recommend doing it obviously if you're going to be on a softer surface like grass. And if you're not on grass, I would obviously discourage doing rolls. But if you are on grass and you get knocked to the ground, and/or you're knocked to the ground, I would encourage applying a jiu-jitsu move, which I have demonstrated in a couple of previous videos already. Okay, so that's something I would recommend. If you're in a self-defense position where you're on concrete with someone, I would highly discourage doing rolls, because you're going to end up hurting yourself. and of course that's what you don't want to do that. But if you're on a soft surface like grass, then yeah, that would be more apt. That'd be more apt to do, because if you're going to do a roll successfully and you're using it's going to be on a soft surface like grass, then it's not going to hurt. But anyways, where I was going to go with this, one of my karate instructors, when he was demonstrating a roll with us this past Thursday, he actually didn't even go on one knee. What he did actually is still tucked his head in, but he kind of did a running roll, because it does it faster, because, well, if you go on one knee and then do a somersault, it's going to be a lot slower than how he demonstrated. And the way he demonstrated is kind of take a run with the roll, and then he did the somersault like kind of in the air with his. So the form was the same, but he just did it without dropping a knee to the ground before doing the roll, and then getting up, turning, facing your opponent. Because like I said, the thing you never want to do in any self-defense position or altercation for that matter is having your back to your opponents, because it's highly dangerous. Especially, for example, if your opponent has a knife. Actually, now that I think about it, because I just mentioned your opponent having a knife, which of course is an incredibly dangerous weapon. But no, we're talking about street fights, which is where self-defense scenarios or altercations would happen, should people be in them for the majority of the time. Let's say, for example, that your assailant has a knife and you don't have anything on you, and the only way you can defend yourself, of course, is with the training and knowledge that you have with you. And if you've watched some of my self-defense videos, or all of my self-defense videos, and you practice these moves, kind of get these moves drilled in your head to the best of your ability, you're going to have knowledge about how you can still attack this person. But of course, what I haven't done is demonstrated self-defense techniques where you could you could get the knife out of your assailant's hand. No, I'm not suggesting whatsoever in any way, shape, or form that you should, after you get the knife from your assailant's hand, to use the knife against him or her. But what I want to demonstrate, now that I have just mentioned, because I wasn't actually going to demonstrate, but now that I have mentioned a knife as a weapon in a self-defense scenario, that way that you can not disarm, but at least initially to get the knife out of his or her hand, and then your odds are even in your favor completely, because the average person is not trained in self-defense. And if you have watched this video and or some of the previous videos, or all of them, then you're going to have the knowledge and the training and hopefully the confidence to disarm or disable your opponent's abilities. Render your opponent unable to continue the fight and end the fight quickly. And of course, my encouragement to all of you, if you do happen to be in a situation where a self-defense altercation is necessary, that the go-to move would be one of the Aikido knockout moves that I've already demonstrated. But if this is your first time watching one of my self-defense videos, I will right now, first of all, demonstrate all 5 Aikido knockout moves, and then I will explain how to get a knife from your assailant's arm should they use it against you in a fight, and we'll go from there. Okay, so first of all, if if you're going to use a knock-it move, and again, this would be after you would disarm your opponent should he or she have a knife to use against you. So after you've taken the knife away from your assailant and just thrown it on the ground. Actually, what I would do, I'm going to ask you is get the knife from your assailant's hand and just chuck it behind you as hard as you can, and then and as you're chucking it, keep your facing forward. So you're going to chuck it behind you with one hand as fast and hard as you can, and then obviously release it when it gets to your bow. Of course, before you do that, just quickly give a look behind you. So if and when you do this, you're not going to accidentally throw this knife against an impossible bystander. Okay. So first of all, excuse me. You want your hands up in a self position, and say your assailant, after your assailant has, after you've taken the knife from him or her and thrown the knife behind you and not accidentally hit some innocent bystander. And after that, let's say that they go to strike you. First knockout move thing I'm going to demonstrate is knock their arm to the side, whichever arm they decide to hit you with doesn't really matter, because you're going to knock it to the side. Now, for me, I would be knocking it to the left because for me that feels the most natural. I would stand, and of course in this situation I stand with my legs shoulder width apart, hands up in a self-defense position with my hands roughly in line with their respective shoulders, and knocking their arm to the left with my left foot forward because it's more natural for me. But if it's more natural for you, you could stand with your right foot forward with your hands up and still in line with their respective shoulders, and if when it goes to strike you, knock their arm to the right. So again, whichever position feels more natural for you with your right or left foot forward, of course, you would know which one feels more natural for you and go with that. So anyways, for me, it would be my left foot forward, legs roughly shoulder width apart, hands up and roughly in line with your respective shoulder, their respective shoulder rather. And as your opponent goes to strike you, for me again, I would pivot my left foot forward, so it's facing roughly a 45-degree angle forward, and knock their arm to the side, step in, and then I'm going to bring my right foot forward, and then take my right elbow and smash the side of their temple, and that's going to definitely knock them unconscious. Okay, second Aikido knockout move. Again, if they go to strike you and knock their arm to the side, I'm going to step in and to the side, and for me, I'm going to take my right arm straight out and I'm going to pull it back, and so at this case, I'm going to hit them as hard and fast as I possibly can with my forearm, and I'm simply going to clothesline them and hit their throat, knock them to the ground hard and fast, and render them unconscious. Alright, so third one. Oh yeah, I was going to say, of all the knockout moves, I'd probably discourage that one the most because it's not necessarily going to render them unconscious, but it's highly likely, which is why of all the ones that I'm going to demonstrate, I discourage probably the first two the most actually, but it's up to you which one you use. But I would use one of the next three knockout moves should you use an Aikido knockout move, because the next three I'm going to demonstrate will 100% guarantee, 100% guarantee to knock your assailant unconscious. Okay. So the third one is going to be again self-defense position, and as they go to strike you, knock your arm to the side, bring the back leg forward. This time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take in my case, I'm going to take my right hand and I'm going to just open it. I'm going to keep it open just like this. I'm going to turn it to the side, and with the side of my hand, I'm going to bring it up, and then I'm going to come down as hard as I can, roughly I guess on a 45-degree angle, and hit the side of their neck, like right here, because there's a lot of nerves and tendons right here. Okay, so what you want to do is bring your arm up as much as you can, but do this quickly. Do all these moves quickly, for that matter. and then just bring that arm down and hit the side of their neck, like right here. And again, there's a lot of nerves and tendons in the side of the neck. And then, as you hit them, don't stop when you hit the side of the neck and bring your arm down to the side, but keep going and keep slicing your hand through the ear, but going down as hard as fast as you can. So what's going to happen is, although I'm starting at roughly slightly my arm raised to the right side of my body, but the time that I'm done this move, my hand is going to be practically at the side, in front of my other leg. All right. It's going to, so you can see it. So again, the move is going to be block, step forward, open hand, take my hand, and with the side of my hand hit the neck, but keep the hand going through the air. It's roughly going to land when the move is ended on the other, in front of the other leg, down here. Okay. Okay. So fourth Aikido knockout move. Again, defensive position, knock their arm to the side, and then this. And knock their arm to the side, come forward, put both hands behind your assailant's neck, and just smash their head into your knee, and I guarantee you they'll be knocked unconscious, like without question. Actually, of all the knockout moves I would recommend would be either that one or the final one I'm going to show you right now. So, smashing their face into your knee, or fifth and final one, knock their arm to the side, step in, and just take an open palm and smash the underside of their chin, and they're going to fall down like a tree, and they'll be 100% knocked and rendered unconscious. And then the fight's over, okay? So, now what I'm going to demonstrate, as I've said before, because I'm a man of my word, is how to get a knife out of your opponent's hand, and then put it in one of your hands. For me, I'd be going to put my right hand, and keep your eyes on your opponent as you do this, but quickly look behind you. So again, as I said, as you throw the knife behind you and then continue with the fight, you're not going to accidentally throw the knife into an innocent bystander, which of course you don't want to do. You don't want to hit anyone with the knife. You just want to throw the knife away from you and then continue with the fight and render your assailant unconscious. Okay. And quickly, before I do demonstrate how to get your knife out of your assailant's hand, I want to reinforce the fact that, I want to reinforce using a knockout move in a self-defense scenario, because one, when your assailant comes to, there's going to be no hospital visits, no broken bones, no bleeding, no cuts, no scrapes, whatever. Your opponent may come in the event not in the event, but when your assailant comes to, he or she will not have any of those things, right? No hospital visits, no broken bones, and the fight has been, is obviously it's over because your assailant has been rendered unconscious due to one of those knockdown moves, and no hospital visits, no broken bones, so no possible loss of income, no cast, no sling, no band-aid, no. Your opponent, when he or she comes to, may be a little sore from one of those knockout moves, because, well, I mean, especially if you smash their forehead into your knee, that may perhaps leave a bit of a bruise, and if not leave a bruise, they still may be a little sore, but that bruise or that bit of pain that they may be feeling, I mean, they may even have to put some ice, if they're bruised, they might have to apply some ice to the forehead, but my point being is that bruising and pain will subside completely and probably won't take that long. And then again, there'll be no loss of income, no broken bone, no cuts, no bruises, no scrapes, no abrasions. Alright? So, of course, that's what you want, because you want to end the fight, but you want to end the fight with the minimal amount of damage applied to your opponent, because in the first place, it's self-defense, so you don't even want to fight. But you've been put in a position where self-defense is necessary should you not want to be harmed. And of course, no one in the right mind wants to be harmed. So this is a last case scenario, okay? Self-defense is always a last case scenario. But it's defense, right? So the important thing to keep in mind is you're not the aggressor, so you're not the one who's initiated the fight, you're the one who's finishing the fight. But you want to finish it quick and fast, and of course, knocking your opponent unconscious is, well, the best way to do that. Okay, so, without further, wow, we're at 32 minutes. So without further ado, let's get to how you would take your opponent's knife from him, or should they use a knife in an altercation with you. So, first, for example, fighting with a knife is really stupid, and one of the reasons is it's very difficult to keep a good balance with a knife, and secondly, when you fight, if you're going to fight with a knife, you're going to leave a good chunk of your body open and vulnerable, which is really stupid. So, fighting with a knife is it's stupid for those two reasons alone. But let's say your opponent goes to try to stab you, if they're going to stab you, the likelihood of them trying to stab you is going to be with, it's going to try to either like this, or they're going to stab you like this. But they're likely not going to try to stab you on the sidearm like this, because that's going to be the least effective of all ways to try to stab someone. Okay, but first of all, let's say they try to stab you and swing their arm like this. What you want to do is, okay, let's say you're like this, so it's going to be hard to try to stab you anyways, because you got a good chunk of your arm block. But of course, what you don't want to do is use your hand to block the knife, because, well, then that's stupid, because your hand's going to get stabbed, and that's going to be incredibly painful, and then you don't know if the knife is sterile or not, so you're going to go to the hospital and at least check. At least you're going to have someone check to see whether or not you have. Probably going to put some alcohol or whatever in there to make sure that your hand has been disinfected. They're just going to apply a disinfectant, and alcohol is a good way to disinfect, because well, it just is. So, anyways, you don't want to block with your hand, because that's going to get your hand's going to get stabbed, which of course is stupid. You don't want to do that. So, what you want to do is, if they go to stab you like this, and just let it happen. But I mean, let them try do that motion, stabbing motion like this. What you want to do is come to the side and put one hand on top of the wrist, and then squeeze the wrist as hard as you can. And then what you want to do is put both wrists on top of the forearm, step like this into you want to do is put, right, so their arm is still in like this, and now you've got one hand on top of the wrist and one hand on top of their arm. What you want to do, simply raise their arm up, and then quickly put one on the wrist, so one hand is still on top of the arm, one hand is on the underside of the wrist. What you want to do is take the arm that's with the hand out here, and you have to do this really quickly, but of course, demonstrating it slowly, you're going to keep the steps that I'm demonstrating in this move, just drill it in your head. Now, after I'm demonstrating this slowly, I'm going to demonstrate this quickly to demonstrate how you would actually do this in real time, not as slowly as I'm obviously demonstrating right now. But anyways, one hand on the other side of the wrist. So take this hand and then slide it like quickly like this, and then release this hand here, and still holding this hand is holding the wrist, and simply smash the top of their hand like that. Now, the pain sensation that you can even use, so you even your knuckles like this and just hit it hard like that, and that is going to have them drop it. Now, and then what you can, after they drop it, just take, now in my case it would be my left arm, and what you're going to do is release, so for me it would be releasing the grip of the wrist, and then taking their arm and hitting them across, I guess, the top of their chest, and that's going to hit them, knock them back. Now the knife is on the ground, and probably within arm's reach of wherever you are. And as you keep your eyes on them, so you know what they're doing, just quickly reach down, grab the knife, and again give a quick look behind you, so make sure there's no one behind you, no innocent bystander behind you. As you do this, simply, as I said, keep your eyes on your opponent and throw the knife behind you, and then continue on with the fight. Okay, so that's how I wanted to demonstrate how you would get out of how you'd use a self-defense scenario to get the knife out of your opponent's hand and continue with the fight. And then, so your opponent is still going to be in pain, possibly even winded. Now, if you hit them on the diaphragm, it's going to wind them, which is a good way to, if they're winded, it's going to take them a bit of time, not a lot of time, but a bit of time to be able to continue with the fight effectively, because getting winded is going to give you enough time to keep your eyes on them as you do this. Pick up the knife, throw it behind you, make sure there's no one behind you as you do this, so you don't accidentally hit an innocent bystander. And so yeah, it's maybe instead of hitting the top of the chest, hit them. Excuse me. Right, so hit them, I guess, knock them in the diaphragm, which is located center of their body and just below the chest, and knock him or her there, and then as they're still winded, and the knife is now behind you and you haven't hit anyone with that, apply one of those knockout moves. Okay, so now a little bit of Muay Thai. Not gonna do a lot because, well, this video is already 40 minutes long. So in the Muay Thai now is mostly elbows and knees, and so it's a really powerful martial art because there's a lot more power in using your knees and your elbows opposed to using your fists or your feet. And one of the incredibly powerful martial art or Muay Thai move is to use your elbows and hit the side of your head. Actually, you're even hitting the ears with your elbows. So it's basically like putting your fist in and hitting the side of their head or their ears. In either case, it's a really painful move to be on the receiving end of. Now, another extremely painful Muay Thai move is taking one of your elbow, raising it, and hitting it on the top of your assailant's or your opponent's head. An extremely painful move. Okay, I want to demonstrate more moves. Actually, the last one move I'm going to demonstrate for this video, because it's almost a little over 40 minutes long, is say after you block them, step in and take an open palm to both of this and simply box their ears, because all of the balance in the body is in the ears, and that'll kind of disable them from continuing the fight, and then you can apply one of those knockout moves. Game over. Okay, that's it for now, folks. Peace out, Brother Rod.